Forge is a mutant of the Cheyenne people who possesses unparalleled technological prowess. Able to intuitively understand and design technology, he is a master inventor and engineer. Unfortunately, Marvel has not revealed his real name to this day. Forge was a student of Naze, a shaman from his tribe. Under his tutelage, he developed considerable mystical powers and was also a mutant with an enormous talent for designing mechanical devices. Forge served in the Siancong War, where he lost his right hand and leg in an enemy attack. During the war, he made the mistake of using the souls of his dead comrades to open a portal and bring in the entity known as El Adversario. Thanks to this being, the battle ended, but Forge fell into a deep depression and attempted to take his own life shortly after. After the war ended, the mutant created an artificial hand and leg to replace his lost limbs. Due to the trauma he experienced, he decided not to use magic again, a promise he kept for almost 10 years. After this, he focused on his career as an inventor. When Tony Stark stopped creating military weapons, the Department of Defense began ordering new weapons from Forge through the DARPA agency where Mystique worked without anyone knowing. The government tasked Forge with designing a means to detect and combat the shape-shifting alien dire wraiths. He created a scanning device that could detect the presence of mutants and aliens of various species. Forge also created a neutralizing device that could, in theory, deprive any superhuman being of using their powers, even if they were mutants. By presidential order, Henry Gyrich, an agent of the National Security Council, took possession of Forge's only existing model of the neutralizer to use against Rogue, who was being accused of murdering a SHIELD agent. Forge was incensed, as the neutralizer had not yet been tested and he did not know whether it would remove a target's superhuman powers temporarily, permanently, or kill them. She attempted to prevent the device from being used, but Gyrich shot and stripped Storm of her powers after she protected Rogue. With her superhuman powers apparently completely removed, Storm fell into a river, from which Forge rescued her. Feeling guilty and responsible for the loss of his powers, Forge nursed Aurora back to health. The two became very close, but their relationship ended after Storm discovered that he was the one who created the device that took away her powers. Aurora left the place, but returned when he noticed that an alien race was attacking Forge to prevent him from perfecting his alien detector. Luckily, Storm and the X-Men saved him. The wraiths attacked Forge on several occasions, so he decided to upgrade his neutralizer to negate their abilities. He eventually stopped working on the device upon realizing that it could be used against the planet's mutants and heroes. Together with the hero ROM, Forge created a device that would eliminate the powers of all the aliens hidden on Earth. However, Gyrich intended to use the device to depower the planet's metahumans. Forge managed to prevent this and saved Earth from an alien invasion. Storm searched for Forge and found him on top of a mountain, apparently opening a portal to a dimension filled with demons. Aurora was manipulated by the adversary to attack Forge, who was actually trying to close the portal. Due to Storm's intervention, the adversary trapped them both in another dimension and took control of Dallas. The couple spent years on an alternate Earth where they made peace and admitted their love for each other. Eventually, Aurora regained her powers and Forge created a portal back to her world using the cybernetic components of her body. Together with the X-Men, they rescued the city and saved the world. At a time when Colossus was believed dead, Magic traveled to Earth to take revenge on the X-Men. He kidnapped Forge and took him to Limbo to torture him. The mutant commented to Ileana that he had also made mistakes in his youth. This, coupled with the intervention of the New Mutants, caused Magic to change her mind and sent Forge back to Dallas. Forge stayed with the X-Men for a time and improved the mansion's technology. During this stage, he proposed to Storm, but withdrew his offer after understanding that his beloved would never abandon the X-Men. She returned to Dallas where she cared for Mystique and helped her recover from an attack by Shadow King. Sometime later, Raven left Forge assuring him that she only pretended so she could steal information from his computers. The United States government decided to form a new version of X-Factor. Valerie Cooper was their government contact, and Forge soon became an integral part of the team. Later, he became their leader when Havoc disappeared. The adversary returned and Forge broke his promise to never use magic to defeat him again. After a disagreement, the mutant decided to separate X-Factor from the government to become independent agents. This caused Sabretooth to attack them. Forge left the team and Havoc took the lead again. Forge helped Professor X and Multiple Man infiltrate Genosha after Magneto took control of the nation. Later, it was revealed that the villain Exodus was posing as the master of magnetism. He kidnapped Forge and forced him to improve his powers. The X-Men saved him and he rejoined the team. He helped the Professor on a second mission to locate Mystique and convince her to participate in secret missions for Charles. On another occasion, he helped Cannonball and Cyrene find Cable. Later, he created a new version of the Sentinel Nimrod in order for him to protect the mutants, but it got out of control and had to be stopped. After Scarlet Witch suppressed Earth's mutant gene, Forge created a machine to search for mutants in other dimensions. Finding no mutants, he concluded that there was no future in which his species would survive Wanda's spell. Following the birth of Hope Summer, Forge's machine detected 2 new timelines with mutants in them. Bishop believed that if he murdered the baby, the future he had lived in would never happen. In his quest to achieve his goal, he shot Forge. After his partner's attack, Forge began to act strangely. Bishop had stolen several time travel devices from him and became unhealthy obsessed with rebuilding said devices. He locked himself in his home and increased his security system to ensure he would never be attacked again. The X-Men confronted Forge over his apparent involvement in an invasion by beings from another dimension. Forge tried to convince them that he was trying to prevent the event. His friends were unsure of his intentions and Forge used a device capable of destroying the world. Beast and Abigail Brand managed to stop him, but his laboratory began to collapse. Storm tried to save Forge, but he refused to leave. The mutants watched as the complex collapsed and left their friend for dead. Cable sought out Forge and used his telepathic powers to create a scenario that emulated Forge's mind as a machine. His friend used his skills to fix the device, and in turn, heal his mind. After recovering, he joined Cable's X-Force team and together they cleared Forge's name. He even managed to repair his relationship with Storm after asking her forgiveness for his wrongdoings. Thanks to the Terrigen Mist, mutants began to die. Forge joined the X-Men and they transported the remaining mutants to Limbo to save themselves. Forge's inventions helped keep mutants safe from the hostile creatures of this realm. Forge managed to build a machine that transported the fog from the Earth, thus saving the mutant race. During the conflict, Storm admitted that she had distanced herself from Forge to avoid confronting her feelings for him. Aurora admitted that even if they were no longer together, she would always love him. Cassandra Nova, Professor X's sister, used her telepathic powers to enslave Forge and forced him to build weapons to destroy mutants. Luckily, he was saved by Jean Grey and her X-Men. Charles Xavier asked Forge to upgrade Cerebro so that he could store a copy of the memories of all mutants, in order to revive them if they died. Forge managed to do so and joined a new version of X-Force as their weapons expert. He even created organic armor so he could fight alongside them. With Fall of X nearing its conclusion, thousands of mutants were killed and others trapped in the White Hot Room. While we don't know what fate holds for Forge, we do know that he will eventually return to help the X-Men whenever they need him.